Welcome to another episode of UI5ers Live. I'm Margot Wolny, your host for this session. In this episode, we will explore effective strategies for analyzing web application requirements and identify how to best utilize the specific resources and functionalities of SAP Fiori elements to address them. To lead us through this discussion, we have Katrin Polacek with us. Hello, Katrin.
Hi there.
Next, we will shift focus to the practical aspects of previewing applications during their development phase using SAP Fiori tools. For this, we have the creator of this feature himself, Dominik Heim. Welcome, Dominik.
Hi.
Yeah. Rounding out our panel of experts, we are also joined by Peter Müsig.
Hi, everyone, and a Happy New Year.
And Andreas Kunz.
Hi, same from me.
Let's get started. Katrin, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm responsible for SAP Fiori Elements, and today I want to look into SAP Fiori Elements with you so that you can uncover features that you might not know yet or how they can actually add significant value to your development process. And I know whom I talk to, the SAP UI5 community. So you want to develop, you want to see your code in action, and you want to have fun with exciting tasks. So it might sound a little underwhelming if you hear about SAP Fiori Elements being the SAP's template-based approach to create SAP Fiori apps based on annotations, so no coding from your site. However, I'm going to show you how SAP Fiori Elements can make your work easier, more efficient, and still allowing you to focus on the creative aspects of adding true value. And for that, I brought the graphic with you. Some of you might know them. Most of developers start on the right side of the graphic, custom layout, freestyle apps, and that's fine. It is a good fit for individual apps, but SAP Fiori Elements comes into play and the full power is being shown when you have a suite of apps that you work on, 20, 30 apps. Then it's about standardization, consistency, also for us within SAP, of course, because there you get the UI logic out of the box with many additional enterprise readiness features, which are typically pretty costly to implement one by one. It is on the functional side with a consistent look and feel, but also access to recurring features like table settings, sorting of table columns, and also more complex functionality like editing or draft management, variant management. And not to speak about the non-functional requirements like globalization, accessibility, lifecycle stability, and so forth. Just imagine fixing accessibility issues uniquely across 20 apps. This is where SAP Fiori Elements really helps you on the efficient level and mitigates the hurdles. Or how you want to keep your development maintainable. How much UI code you want to maintain while still working on new projects. 7,000 lines of codes we've heard in one of the projects for the UI alone. And then imagine new people coming in. So you want to watch out how you can make use of the standard that is provided through SAP Fiori Elements and where you can unleash your creativity, creating or building apps or building code. But in our corporate world, like it is about efficiency, functional, non-functional. So everything on the left side, 20%, and that is a number we get from our customers and partners. 20% of the time is used when you use SAP Fiori Elements with customizing annotations, versus building the freestyle apps on the right. But there's a reason why this graphic has like a kind of like a slider option down here, and we will look into that. At the end, it's all about choices, just like in our regular life. Choices within the spectrum that is there. And we put quite some effort into helping you making the right choices for your projects. And for that, we have prepared a few things, and today I want to walk you through two of them. One thing is the feature showcase app that we have. That is one of the options. I chose the one that is based on the ABAP RESTful application programmer, the RAP use case. And you have access to all the, like wherever you are in your environment, you can use that. And you have guidance on how to use it and what you get out of that showcase app. It provides an overview of what is available through the framework. The most common application structure that we have in our corporate world is you have a list with all sorts of items of one type, like a sales order, work order, or even employees. And then you have a next level of detail in the object page. And that app here I have open on this next tab is one of these list report object page patterns, and the feature showcase app is mimicking exactly that pattern and shows you, and that is shown as a very first glance, much more than you would actually have in a standard application, because it is a showcase app, so you have more features than you would have in a regular use case. And the purpose of that is like, how can I show data in the app that is existing in the backend, and for you to explore that also. So on the table side, you see all the standard features right away that comes out of the box if you have a table, and on the details page, again, it's a showcase app, so you see a lot of content. And you already here, you can try to find out, and it's also like, of course, not in a business object manner, but like it shows you what type of things you can have to display data. And here, for example, you don't even have a graph in there. You just have like different visualization options. And you can play around with that, and you have the code with it. And so that's why you can also check things out, how the connection from whatever you have available in the backend or you get from the backend is available in the content. And why that is quite important, I mean, already this display app is maybe straightforward, but already there are some time-consuming features like what you've seen on the table, or like also here on the table, them standard feature that they are. But all the CRUD operations like creating, updating, deleting is where things can get messy and easily underestimated. And it's just tiny things. Like if you're on an edit mode, for example, what you get if you just use elements for, and this is what I say, a repetitive task. You have like a time field where you have a very specific way of entering data, and then you enter some nonsense. You get that message handling out of the box by getting the error and showing you like where it is and how you overcome that. And even if you navigate out or the user navigates out, you have with the popover the way to navigate back to it. So the showcase app gives you all the ideas. If you click through that once or several times, explore what you can get right away out of the box. The same is true for dynamic UIs, for example, when first fields become mandatory based on some inputs, or navigating to an appropriate next field. All of that, or the draft management that we have in our applications, all of that you get through using SAP Fiori elements. So here in the showcase app, you see what type of features are available and how that works together with the ABAP backend. And that is covering this out of the box standard parts that we had. So it's all about the efficiency. And we started out on the freestyle app development and how much time that can be spent, or like how much time difference is there. But the key part where we see our customers also having extend whatever gets out of the comes out of the standard is in the flexible programming model. And that part of the graphic is a bit more detailed if you look into the flexible programming model entry point that we have available for you, because here the middle point is divided into two aspects. The flexible programming model explorer is particularly helpful if you want to check out the options within the SAP Fiori elements, have a solid basis, but then extending and exploring feasible option for whatever the project team needs. And there you have, again, the little slider. You can move slowly from efficiency to flexibility. And let me show you first the, like, still being on the standard, but adding a tiny bit more. Because if you almost achieve everything with the standard floor plan, and you just need one or two tiny things more, then you can use the flexible program model extension points to just add these tiny things, like the few extra percent that we're missing. For example, just adding one extra custom column into the table, and you don't have to deal with all the standard table features. Yes, of course, it's just changing the text or so. Like, and the key thing for me showing you this here is like that what happened? What happened? My text is here. Why is it on the wrong side? Maybe I didn't. This is how it works when you just show things. I just want to have the button changed. My custom button. I was here before, went home from the office, and then. But the key thing is of the FPM Explorer is that you can play around with what is available. Good Lord. That you can, my text should be here, please, thank you. Why is that not in the, here, now it is, my text is here. The thing is that you can play around with the code that is available here, and you see the effects right away. That also helps you in the communication with your project team, for example, and adding additional functionality to that button. And you know that much better than I am. You just do it right. You can play around with it here right away. So this is like if you stay close to standard and still be in the standard part and have like just a tiny little bit addition. But the middle part is, as I said, where some music plays and where you have much more freedom to add things, because this is where the building blocks come into play. And those are our Lego bricks. We have plenty of building blocks that you can put together in a custom page or enhance existing templates, floor plans with the building blocks. And I'll give you an example for the custom page that is down here. In our example sample implementation, we have a nice combination of freestyle UI5 and which is the tiles up here, and our building block for the table. And if you just look at the custom page view XML, the table is just one line of code, but you can get all creative in whatever you want to or need to do for the project in the custom or in the freestyle app part. So you have with the flexible programmer model explorer the options to play around with what are the options, detect features. And if we had that before with the in that one example that I showed with the feature showcase app, what are the building blocks? How do they work? What is available there? You can have the discussion up front to actually then implement the right thing. And if there is a chart required or would make sense for your users, what type of chart, what works best for your user, and you can really play around with it and have then the work that you can do within that control or within that building block is right there for you to play around with, and you get real-time visibility on what is important. So what I showed you, this one more thing, the general decision, whether it's a custom page or a standard floor plan, is not per app, but you can have it a mix within an app, like having the list report in a standard way and having the object page build freestyle. Whatever you do, you can as much combine standard and freestyle, and thus optimizing the effort or limiting the effort to what is really required as a minimum. And good thing is, now that you have these two tools, and I just showed you the feature showcase app and the flexible program model explorer, you have all the means to make smart decisions, smart choices, foster the communication within the project, and you can know how you can explore the feasible options and collaborate, but it's up to you to use them now. And with using Fiori elements, you get even more UI5 apps built, and this strengthening the UI5 footprint, SAP UI5 footprint. But you free yourself from repetitive tasks. You can really focus on addressing the specific user needs, and then maximize your resource for helping even more users by minimizing the efforts. And that closes my part.
Is it possible to use not default unnamed model with FPM macros? This person, it was Fabian, struggled once with tree table and a custom model and setting the meta path.
Fortunately, unfortunately, like the Fiori elements works with the unnamed model, and that's the only thing that works. Nothing changed since then.
Only with a default model.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe one small remark, because I think we also mentioned it several times in the community, and just because I realized it here as well, for the demo kit, you use the SAP HANA On Demand URL. Actually, we are teaching our community they should switch to UI5sap.com.
Aha.
So maybe that's also a good note for you. So yeah, so just like it's a much more convenient URL, but also there might be the option that this longer URL becomes obsolete. So you're really on the safe side using UI5 SAP.
All these old bookmarks.
It has also good reason for that, because the HANAOnDemand.com, they are the tracking prevention list. So if you enable strict browser support for Edge or Firefox, you will not be able to load content from SAP UI5 HANAOnDemand.com or Open UI5 HANAOnDemand.com. So using UI5sap.com or SDK Open UI5 org is the right URL for you to go. And if you find a NetWeaver URL in your bookmarks, then delete it immediately. This is really old.
Then you know that you're a mature talent.
Yeah.
I think we can switch over to Dominic and the preview functionality.
So we just saw, let's say, flexible programming model, and that you can use to build and enhance your app. And now we'll have a look at improvement with regards to previewing this app locally, for example, during development. So what I just did to shorten this whole talk, I pre-generated an app using the Fiori application generator. That is part of this Fiori tools application modeler VS Code extension. So in case you don't know, I paste you a link in the chat. If you're curious to find out what else this thing can do for you. So just going directly into VS Code, and you see now a freshly generated application with the well-known structure. And here in the app info page, you have this preview application button. Yeah, so I just hit that button, select the run script. I just use the plain start script, and then we'll get a preview of that application, hopefully. While this one is loading, because my PC is slow, actually it's not that slow. Okay, then we do the preview first. So we have the preview of the application on a local host, and you see just some random data that's not really interesting for now. So what we see in the log, we see, interesting for later, that we'll use UI5 version 1.31.1. But what's even more important, you see from the preview middleware that an HTML file is returned as sandbox HTML. You probably are familiar with that name, and that it's loaded from the file system. So we are just stopping that one and going to that set file. It's located under web app test FLP sandbox HTML. Right. So what comes with this setup is the moment you generate this application, or the moment I generate this application, I'm in charge for the maintenance of the FLP sandbox HTML file, which is more or less glue code to be able to start this application in a local Launchpad sandbox, right? So fast forward, I don't know, let's say 3 years, then I have had the maintenance for this file for 5 years, and it's also not, most probably no longer it does not contain the UI5 best practices, or to put it the other way around, it contains the UI5 best practices from the point in time where I generate this application. And to make it even worse, if as a sample, if the local Launchpad setup changes, I don't know, let's say because of the UI5 major version, and then it's up to you to fix it and to find out how the new setup looks like, and so on and so forth. So the idea is to serve the glue code that is needed to locally preview your application based on a UI5 middleware, so that all this manual adjustment I just talked about, with having to, I don't know, adjust this HTML file and so on and so forth, it shrinks to increasing a def dependency in your package JSON, which sounds much more convenient than to having to deal with these glue code files that are not business related at all. So that's the idea. And what's also in between, let's say, this new world is that there are plenty of apps out that does not use that approach yet, which is perfectly fine, right? So that's why we now come up with a converter that help you transforming existing applications using these physical files, as this application here, into this new world of serving these files with the virtual endpoints. And that's what we are going to do now. So I'm copying this statement that I prepared. That's also part of the chat. Paste it in here. The -S is the simulation mode because I want to show you the whole log. So now we're getting in additional information telling us that this will change files and stuff. So we should know what we are doing. But as I anyway launched it in simulation mode, so I'll just say yes, because I want to show you all the details that will be done. Scrolling all the way up. So this one analyzes the scripts in the package JSON and also has a look at the HTML files with the FLP sandbox HTML and so on and so forth, and then transfers this into the new setup with virtual endpoint, which means all the HTML files and the other glue code will be deleted, and the package JSON is adjusted for the starts variant management script in case you have one. And most important, the UI5 YAML files are being adjusted as well. So if we just have a look, for example, at the UI5 YAML, then you'll see there was a part in, because I already generated this app with the Fiori tools. So there was already the Fiori tools preview middleware integrated, but now it has been adjusted to have a path, and that's the path then for the virtual endpoint for the Fiori Launchpad, and also includes the intent and the object from this application. So if I now do this for real, and just to add on that, you don't need to know this script by heart, right? This will also be integrated in the application info page in the next release, which is January 16th, I guess. So then you just have to click here one button as well. So, but for the time being and for the demo now, we do it once again, but without the simulate script, the simulate option. And let's just have a look at what's here in the test folder. So we have this FLP sandbox HTML, for example. I confirm. And now the JavaScript glue code files are gone. The FLP sandbox file is still in, but it's being renamed to -old. Why that? If we have a look again at our simulate log, there we find the information. It's being renamed to FLP sandbox old because it could be that you have modified this file and there's a web page that tells you about details on how to find out if you modified it and how to do a migration to a custom init script as part of this new setup. But as I did not do any changes, I can just delete it. So now it's gone. And what we're doing next is just hitting that preview application button again with the same run script. But now the HTML file is gone, so we'll just see what happens next. So the app is still up and running. That's good. And the test FLP sandbox HTML file is served, although if we are going back to the repository, there is no test FLP sandbox HTML file. And if you also compare, or if you have in mind what's previously written in a log, that this FLP sandbox HTML file has been found and is being served locally, that's now no longer part of the log because that is no longer the case, right? So this is now served virtually, which is good because then it's no longer the issue of the application developer how this glue code is to be maintained for specific UI5 versions and so on and so forth. Yeah, all of this is done by the preview middleware for you. Now let's sub this. Let's say you have this setup, but you, for whatever reason, still need the HTML file, or now you deleted it and want the HTML file back, right? So also there we got you covered because there's also possibility to what we call eject this file again. So we have this add HTML command, and if we just do that one and see what happens. Then you see we get our FLP sandbox HTML file back. But also in the now, let's say, best practice UI5 from today, because we always use the latest for the eject. So, but let's just rename that one because I don't want to use it in the preview as of now. Let's call it new.
But from where do you exactly consume the FLP sandbox? Is it knowledge which is in the tooling extension, or is it from a dependency? I think you mentioned something. Is it no, to tooling extension? I mean, from your proxy, or where exactly? Is it then proxying it directly, or how does it work, the FLP sandbox, if it's served virtually?
It's part of the preview middleware, and then also depending on, let's say, the UI5 version, because there's also preview for UI5 2 out. So depending on the UI5 version, you are being served the correct file that it's also composed on the fly. There's kind of a template HTML file existing by the specific app that you are launching. And that's then handed back to the browser so to say.
Okay, no, I get it. Okay, it's part of the Fiori preview middleware. This was my point, yeah.
Okay, so now we ejected that one. And I just renamed the sandbox file for a specific reason, because I also want to show you the run configuration. So let's open run configurations for our project 8. Okay, so what are run configurations? Run configurations are adjustments that you can make to start the application, let's say, without doing Git relevant changes. So you don't need to change the package JSON or the UI5 YAML. You just can use these run configurations that also overrides then settings in, for example, UI5 YAML. I'll just show you. So that's not new. That's part of the VS Code extension for Fiori tools for quite some time, but it also works together with the preview middleware, and that's what I just wanted to show. So I just copy, let's say, this start script. Start script copy, fine for now. Let's make this a little bit smaller. So now then we use another UI5 version, for example. Let's just go 24 something. And also, where is it? Here, the endpoint, you see now the endpoint is being served from the middleware. So there's now this virtual endpoint because the sandbox HTML does not exist. But also here, I could have as now I ejected this file, right? I could just switch to the ejected file and say, no, use the physical file. not going to do it for now because there's no need to, but let's just save that one. And this would be the equivalent to go into the UI5 YAML file, search the configuration, and then adjust the path. But then, of course, you need to take care that you don't commit this change because you just want to do it locally. So run for configuration is, let's say, safe because it's not Git relevant, the change that you're doing. It's just for your local machine. So we have now run configuration demo project 8 copy, where we changed the UI5 version. Now again, we hit the preview application button. And besides the scripts from the package JSON, we also see this start demo project 8 something. That's the run configurations. So we're starting the demo project 8 copy. And then...
And this is the configuration which is in the VS Code, right? This is the run configuration
exactly.
stuff from there. Mm-hmm.
So app is being loaded. And if we have a look at the about dialog, then you see it's the framework version, the UI5 framework version has been overwritten to that one. But also we can see this already in the log of the application that the run configuration is being used. Okay, so what's next is, of course, now we have the converter ready. We have the eject of the HTML files ready. Next step is, of course, that we want to adjust the generator because I use the generator to generate this new project. And of course, the generator should also make use of that virtual endpoints instead of generating the glue code as is. We're quite far with that feature, but that's not... I mean, I can give you a sneak peek, so to say. We also want the converter to support the conversion of the test glue code. So meaning test suite, OPA test runners, QUnit test runners. So let me just switch to another IDE just to show you that one. That's my playground. It's not generated with a tools extension. So that's pure handmade application. And there I did the same, but had the -t for tests option in here as well. And there you see we have OPA, QUnit, and test suite in. And if we go there, so you see in the log that's being picked up and something in UI5 test YAML has been done. If we scroll down to UI5 test YAML, so that's the normal one where you see the FLP path has been adjusted and the intent and the action and so on and so forth. And if we scroll down to the test file, then we also see that test frameworks have been applied. So for QUnit, no specific path because the one that's used in there is just the default path. So it's not needed in the configuration. And if I have a not default path, then of course it's been taken over. First version is out. It's not 100% done, I would say, but first version, as said, is out, can be tested. And it's just a option of the converter, so -t. Yeah, so we get the converter, we'll adjust the application generator to support this out of the box, and we'll get the integration for the test glue code conversion in the converter. That's the next steps. And then, of course, we are interested in feedback because freestyle, Fiori elements, V2, V4, there's plenty of setups of applications out there, and we don't know all these setups. We tested the converter with quite a lot, but of course not all of them. So if you have feedback or even want to contribute, that's welcome as well. So that's it from my side.
There's one question in the Q&A. While being completely local, would it still be possible, aside from the question if this makes sense, to share run configurations via Git or in the project itself, not manually?
That's a question I also asked. Currently not, but at least it's an idea worth thinking about, at least from my point of view. But I'm not a product owner, so I'm not the one to decide.
But at the end, if you put the run configurations, and as you said, they are part of the VS Code configuration, you can also go for a submit for them, and then with that, share them. So this should be not a problem if they are at the end changing source code or changing a configuration file more or less.
Yeah, as far as I know, they are part of this .VS Code. And most of the time, if you have a look at the git ignore, then this .VS Code is part of the git ignore, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's up to you whether you want to submit that or not.
Thanks a lot for this, showcasing this. As always, I think it's very important. Check it out, test it, provide feedback, and even maybe you have some ideas to contribute. This is highly appreciated. So that's all for today. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Thank you.